Home time. Home time. Come on, Echo. Come on. Hey, there he goes. There you go. Good job. Well done. Hi there, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. I thought I would do a very much requested cat day in the life video. Oh, and I've got my little partner in crime here. A very niche topic, but a lot of you found me through my ragdoll videos from my Getting Echo and Getting Rory videos, so I thought I'd say a big thank you and do a video. A bit of an update. I've had them a long time now. Rory, he's gone apparently. Okay, off you go. See you, look. Say hi. Hi. Rory's 3 and Echo is 4. I will have had Echo for 4 years coming up in November, which is just crazy. That has gone so fast. And I've put off doing a cat video for a long time because they're pretty boring now, I'm not gonna lie. They are true cats, not kittens, and they spend the majority of the day asleep. So it's now 10 to 3 and this is them waking up for the afternoon. They've been asleep all day long, asleep curled up on the bed, just cozy, and so there's not that much to film, I suppose, anymore for a day in the life because they just sleep. Sometimes they sleep in different places, other times like today they just choose a spot and they sleep together. I'm hoping that he's not nudging the tripod because he's just there like, are you having a good time? So yeah, he's just woken up and we all know Rory, aka the foghorn, is probably not going to let me have a very long conversation here, so I'll do what I can. I got a lot of questions on Instagram when I asked if there was anything you all wanted to know, so I'm going to do a bit of a mix. I'm going to do, you know, the rest of the Cat's Day in the Life as well as a bit of a Q&A session here at the beginning, so I'll leave timestamps down below if you don't want to sit and... Here we go. Welcome to my life. If you don't want to sit and listen to me waffle on and probably be interrupted by Rory a million times. He's getting better though, he is getting better at it. It's just sometimes he wants something very specific, which right now I think, I don't even know, he's gone to the other side of the room, so yeah. I got a lot of questions about introducing our baby and how all of that went, so I'll talk about that at the beginning here, and then just a few general questions, and then later on I'll try and mingle it in so it's not so boring. We'll be talking about harness training, grooming, food and their litter sort of situation, so I'll share all of that later on. But starting off, we've got a few questions, so I'm just going to get yourselves comfy, get yourself a cuppa, just let's have a chill and have a catch up. How did the cats react to their new human brother? You can hear him in the litter tray now. Oh my goodness. We're just going to go through it. If you've got a cat, you'll understand. It was adorable. They were so good. So if you follow my channel a lot, you'll know Echo was obsessed with my pregnant belly. He just loved cuddling up to it, and I think it was because it was warm. I don't think it was anything to do with the baby inside, although maybe it was. He did used to get really annoyed those end days though, where he'd just get like sucker punched by our little boy inside. But when I was very anxious to go into labour, we'd never left the cats overnight. And so I was really worried about that, you know, and actually it was amazing. We had family come and feed them, and in the end Dom couldn't stay with me anyway, so he came home and then I came home the next day, so there's only really one day that I wasn't here with them. So what we did is we came back from hospital and I came into the house without anyone else, and I had like a muslin, I think, or one of his baby grows he'd been wearing, and I just let them sniff around, and they were very suspicious, very cautious. And I could tell that they were a little bit excited and a little bit apprehensive. And so then eventually Dom came in, put the baby carrier on the middle of the floor here, and we just sat back, made no noise and just left them to it. And they were really interested. I don't know if I've got a picture, I'll try and share it. And they were just going around in circles, a bit like if you watched the footage of us bringing Rory home. Exactly how Echo was with Rory, he was with the baby as well. And then as soon as the baby like moved, they were like, oh my goodness. And it was so cute to watch, honestly. And then that was it. They were okay. They settled down about it. As soon as the baby carrier went out of the room, they were kind of a lot more chill. But obviously, once our baby started crying, that just changed everything. And yeah, I would say for a good 4 months they were really unsettled, and then eventually they started to chill out a bit. Rory spent a lot of time under our bed upstairs, which is really sad to say now, but it's the truth. And Echo sometimes would join him as well, especially when our little boy would especially around I think it was 8 weeks or something, when he just did a lot of crying. The cats found that quite stressful, especially Rory. And I think it's because the breeder we got Rory from had a little girl, and I assume that because he was brought up in a house, whereas Echo was more of she sort of had like a catio situation, so he wasn't really used to household noises when we brought him home, whereas Rory was used to household noises but too much, so baby's crying was triggering him, I think, from his past, bless him. So he found it really difficult, and he actually went from quite annoying, if I'm honest, with his shouting all the time, and just constant attention seeking to just quite reserved and quiet. And we were like, whoa, he's completely changed cat. Because honestly, prior to our baby arriving, we were literally looking into cat behaviour therapy for Rory, which sounds so extreme, but we were getting to the point where we were like, what is going on with this cat? Like, he is just so noisy. And you know, now we're like a year on, he's a lot more chill. Like, he's so much better. He's like, he was kicking off then. He just settles down and he understands now that I can't always just jump and figure out what might be wrong with him, and oftentimes it's just for attention, and he's now figured that he can come to me for attention rather than shouting me from the other side of the room. So it's taken time, but I think we're getting there. That being said, we've not completely closed off the option of actually getting someone that's like a cat psychologist to come and try and figure out what we can do to make Rory's life better, because there's clearly something that he likes to shout about. So yeah, that was a long tangent to say it went really well, the introduction, and it took them a while to get used to him, but I think we're there now. They don't hide at all anymore. They're pretty happy. They just spend their days just doing whatever they want to do. And especially Echo, he really, really wants to be friends with our little boy, but he's at the like grabby stage, so it's not really a good time. But Echo's still trying. He's persevering. He's very patient. And our son loves Rory. Like, every time he sees Rory's face, he's just like, it's adorable. And Rory's just like, excuse me, no, I'm gone. It's so funny. He's such a standoffish cat sometimes, but he's also the most loving, adorable cat too. He's such a funny character, and it's just so hard to place him. So, right, next question. Feeding routine, current weights, and how has their dynamic changed with a baby? So their current feeding routine, it's changed wildly over the years. We've tried raw food, we've had wet food, we've had fridge wet food, we've been on Sheba. They've always been on Royal Canin biscuits from being kittens. I've always kept them on Royal Canin biscuits. And we tried this wet food, I think it's called catkin. We use kittenkin nappies, but I think it's catkin because they've got like the same name. Catkin wet food, which looked really good, really promising. The cats hated it, and it was such a waste. And it was right when we were in newborn days, and it was so hectic trying to keep up with making sure I defrosted the food in time and got it on the floor in time for them, and then not left it out too long, and it just got to be a lot. So honestly, at that time we just swapped them to just biscuits. They had been having Sheba, but honestly Sheba is like McDonald's for cats, and as much as they loved it, they would just lick the gravy or the jelly off and leave all the meat, and the meat would smell, and it was just getting to be a lot to deal with, and I just needed my life to just be a little bit more streamlined. So we swapped them to just biscuits, and they've been so happy. They do really well. You know, they seem really healthy, they're really good weights, and they're thriving. So I'm happy with that, you know. They're going to eat what they're going to eat, and I do think it's a ragdoll thing that they like Royal Canin biscuits and Sheba specifically. You'll have to let me know if your ragdoll's the same, but I've noticed a lot of people say the same thing. But I'm so glad that we've got rid of the Sheba. It was one of the things I think was triggering Rory's behaviour the most, because he would just shout for a packet of Sheba to just lick the gravy off, and it was just getting to be a really like a naughty cycle, you know. Because he didn't need it, he could just have a drink of water, but instead he was licking the gravy off. So yeah, we just leave the food down for them. We just leave the dried biscuits down, and then they have Thrive cat treats. They have a few of those a day. They're like a dried chicken breast, and then once a week they have Encore. It's like a tuna fillet that they have half of that each, which I think is really good for their coats. So that's sort of like their feeding routine. And then current weights. I had Echo weighed recently, and I cannot remember for the life of me what he weighed, because he had his checkup and his vaccinations for the year. I think he was about 6.5 kilograms, and if I remember rightly, maybe he was 6 kilograms. I think Echo might be 6 kilograms, and Rory's about 500 grams less, so he's about 5.5 kilograms. There is a big difference in weight between the two, but funnily, Rory is much longer than Echo, but Echo is much like, he's a more stocky cat, if that makes sense. It's weird. Now when people come to the house, like even family, they can't tell them apart, which I think is really interesting, because obviously I can tell a massive difference. They're a completely different colour, but everyone always used to know who they were for their size, and they're a really similar size now. How has their dynamic changed with a baby? They are much closer. I mean, they've always been pretty good, but they did have a phase in between where they weren't really that bothered about each other. You know, Rory's always been the one that's like the love bug, and he wanted to like go and snuggle Echo, and Echo's always been like, oh, not you again. It's always Rory that's cuddling Echo, never the other way around. And so yeah, they've changed a lot. Now Echo sometimes goes to Rory and they spend a lot of time in their cat tree, snuggled up on their bed, on the sofa here together, which is really cute. It's definitely brought them closer together, which I love. And I remember, you know, when I said about them being under the bed, they would be under the bed together and like snuggling each other, and it just made me happy that they had each other in a time that was probably really difficult for them, and really difficult for me as well. It's such a massive change for them. Do I struggle to split attention between them, as in like between the two of them and also my son? And I'm going to say absolutely yes, I find it really hard. Between the two of them, less so. I tend to find when one wants to play, the other's not as bothered, which is usually the cause of most fights that we have in this house. Because Rory will want to play with Echo, but Echo doesn't want to play, or Echo will be trying to like jump on top of Rory, and Rory is not interested at all. And it usually ends in a fight, and the cat fluff all over my house. So yeah, when I'm playing with them, you know, one tends to play, and then the other might play at the end, but then the other one's happy to watch, so that's been fine. And I have found it hard. It's a lot easier now my son's older, so he's now 10 months old. It's a lot easier to split my time between them. I get a lot more time in the evenings now, so I can focus that time more on the cats, which those early days it really was so difficult. And yeah, I found it really hard, I'm going to be honest. I found it hard I just felt so bad for them, you know, in those early days, but we got through it and we're okay now. And I remember there would be days where I would be laid here having a contact nap, and Echo would come and snuggle up next to me, and Rory would be under the blanket, and it was just like all my boys together, and it just felt really lovely. So there were good parts, there were hard parts as well, but I think it's been a good shift for them, you know. I think it's brought them closer together, and it's meant that I just really enjoy that time that I get with them so much more as well. Do they play with his toys? So yeah, I've said this on Instagram, but cat toys and baby toys are interchangeable. It's so weird, but they really are. So yeah, obviously I just leave the toys around and they'll play with whatever they're going to play with. But one thing I will say I've had to be more intentional of is just checking the sizes of cat toys and the shapes too. So we have those springs. I don't let my son play with those for obvious reasons. If I'm playing with those on a night time, they get put away or put out of reach in the day. And then things like the balls, the cat toys, oftentimes are too small, so we've confiscated those, and we've swapped to more like felt balls that are like big balls, and things like that, and just using more like string toys and stuff. And again, they go away at the end of the day, just so that I know everything's safe for my son to be playing with, and nothing's gonna get destroyed. Rory loves destroying things, like not in a destructive way. I say destroying things in a destructive way. It's very like focused destruction. So like if there's a toy he really loves, he will pull it apart, definitely. But thankfully we've not had any issues with, you know, him destroying any of our son's toys so far anyway. How did you stop them jumping in his crib? So it's a whole thing, but when I was pregnant, we tried to stop them from coming in our bedroom to get them used to it, and they completely destroyed our landing carpet in the process. We've got 3 doors in this entire house, which is really funny to say because it's all open plan downstairs, so the cats aren't used to closed doors, and especially Rory, he hates a closed door, like he can't stand it, and it really stresses him out, so he found it really stressful. We made him a lovely bed in our now son's room, and eventually he settled there. But you know, while I was pregnant we just gave up because I was just so tired and I just needed to sleep, and Rory would just be up shouting for ages, and it was just really stressful. So we let them back in, and then once my son was born we had to shut them out. But if I'm honest, because my son was in with us and crying a lot too, they just didn't want to be in there anyway, so having their own space was really nice for them. We kept it that way until my son could happily roll both ways, and it wasn't long after that he went into his own room anyway at about 6 months. So I think he started rolling both ways about 4 or 5 months, and that was when we let them back in the room, and they were absolutely fine. Like, obviously I was quite nervous about it. I didn't want them going into his cot, which they did do. It did do my whole pregnancy. So I would say if you're pregnant, definitely get the cot sorted, let the cats be inquisitive, let them get used to it, but also don't freak out if they sleep in it all the time, because my cat slept in his cot every night while I was pregnant, and then when he was here they've not been interested in it at all. The day that he went into his own bedroom, I had Echo asleep in the snooze pod next to me all night, and he was like, ooh, an extension of the bed. Hi darling. Oh, Mummy's a chatterbox, isn't she? Hey, and this guy, he is so much more cuddly than he used to be. It's adorable. I am living for it. He's turned so soppy. I love him so much. And his purrs, oh, he's so gorgeous. How have their personalities changed as they've got older? So like I say, Rory has really mellowed out this year. He's such a lovely cat. I mean, he's always been a lovely cat, but he's always been quite opinionated. But he's just turned into the biggest soppy, gorgeous fluff bug, and I'm so happy about it, because when he was a kitten he was like that, and then he got really standoffish when he was like 1, and it stayed like that for quite a long time, and now he's turned into a bit of a lap cat, and I'm just like, I'm soaking it up. And Echo has always been pretty mellow, but as a kitten he was a bit of a psycho, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, oh sorry darling, I tripped him up. They've both just mellowed out so much. So yeah, the thing about them getting to 4 and being more chill, I would say it's about 3, and they've just calmed right down. And Rory is just absolutely thriving at the minute. He just loves attention, and it's so nice because for so long he just didn't know what to do with that attention, and now I feel like he's figured it out. Right, there's a few more questions and then we'll crack on with this video because it's already getting very long. Are they docile? Yes, they are docile. They are the most soppy, fluffy, gorgeous, loving cats I've ever met, and I love them to bits. I'm thinking of getting another because my other cat is bored. I got another cat because I felt that Echo was bored. Echo used to spend a lot of his time at the back door shouting to go out because he was bored, so we got him Rory, and then Rory turned out to shout more than Echo, which is really funny to think about now. But I'm glad I got 2, and I'm glad I didn't get 2 at the same time, but I don't know if in the future, I don't want to think about the future, but if ever there was a time where I got, you know, more cats, I don't know what I would do next time, if I would get 2 at the same time or just 1 and then introduce another one. There's always more of a risk when you're introducing a second that they're not going to like each other, but there is also the risk if you get 2 from a breeder and they're not truthful that they're not going to be friends anyway. Just because they're from the same breeder doesn't mean they actually like each other. So definitely research that, you know, make sure that you get some videos of them and proof of them being friends. But I'm so glad I got Rory for Echo, and Rory just loves being part of this little family, and he loves Echo so much. It's absolutely adorable to see, and Echo just loves being able to play and have someone groom him all day, which is really funny to me. What did you look for in a breeder? I made sure that she was, or both of them were fully registered, proper breeders of ragdolls. There are a lot of different things they have to do and loops they have to jump through to make sure they're legitimate breeders. Can't remember any of the ins and outs now. It's a long time since I had to do this research, but I'll leave all my videos in the description box so you can kind of figure it out for yourselves if you're interested. But I decided to go with a purebred ragdoll. I just wanted to make sure I covered all bases and I wasn't setting I was up for a fail or for heartbreak or for being scammed. There are so many scammers out there. You just got to really protect yourself. And also, I think it's so important to go with people who are doing it for the right reasons and are legitimate and have the cat's best interest at heart. So things with our ragdolls, like they were fully vaccinated, they'd been, you know, with their mum the entire time, they'd had that one-on-one attention, they were so brilliant, they'd been groomed, they were so well adjusted to the world they were coming into, and that was so amazing. And I wanted to make sure the breeders themselves were nice people as well, and they were kind and that they cared about their cats. And I've had contact with both our breeders since having them, it's like I gave birth to them, since getting the cats, and they're just still super interested in the cats, which I think is lovely and just goes to show that when people do it for the right reasons, they really do care. And I have been asked quite a lot if I could share like what breeders we use. I have shared their Instagrams on the cat's Instagram, so I'll leave the cat's Instagram down below, but I tend not to share their names on YouTube just because I don't want them to be inundated by people contacting them all the time. Rory's breeder has now finished, she's not doing it anymore, but she was just more of a small hobby breeder, whereas Echo's breeder does like shows and all sorts, so she's definitely still breeding, and I would definitely go with her again if we were to ever get another ragdoll, because they're just, well, Echo especially is just such a gorgeous natured cat. He's so amazing, and yeah, I think he speaks volumes for how amazing of a breeder she is. Will you ever stud them for breeding? So going off the same topic, I suppose, we can't stud them for breeding. So part of buying a pedigree ragdoll is that you sign a contract that says, you know, you're not going to breed them. They are pets. I bought them as pets, and that is what they are. If you're wanting to buy a ragdoll to breed more ragdolls, then you have to buy a I've forgotten what the word is, but it's like, it's a more I don't even know. There's certain things that cats have to meet to be able to continue on the breed, if that makes sense. So for example, it's so picky, and I know not everyone agrees with pedigree stuff, but like Echo, for example, he's mismarked, I think it's called. So he's got like that little bit of, we call it like his paint streak. He's got one here, he's got one on his back. He's mismarked, so he wouldn't be able to continue the breed, and he wouldn't be able to be showed either, you know, like in cat competitions and stuff, for the same reason. And that doesn't mean that he's any like inferior of a cat, he's a brilliant cat, but it's just one of those things. So yeah, there's just different things that they have in place to make sure people aren't doing backyard breeding, and it keeps the integrity of the breed. So yeah, we won't be breeding them, they're both neutered. We signed a contract and they were both neutered before we got them. So yeah, that is that. So I am gonna crack on with this video. I've been talking for far too long already, and I will definitely answer the rest of the questions as the video goes along, but I need a drink. I've been talking for far too long. Oh my goodness. I think Rory wants to go outside as well, so we'll see if we can summon Sir Echolas, who is upstairs fast asleep still. That cat, honestly, he sleeps so much compared to Rory. What? Good job. Oh. What do you want? You want to go outside? Is that what you want to do? Hey? Listen to your squeaky purrs. You're a gorgeous boy. Let's see how long it takes Echo, hey, to come out. Should we put your harness on? Yeah, come on then. As for harness training, we've always used these ones that are called Rabbit Goo. I'll leave them linked below. They're not escape proof by any means, and I don't think I ever want them to be. If the cats get in trouble outside or they get spooked, I want to make sure they can come in as soon as they're ready to. They've both got out of these, so just saying that here. Oh, here he is. That didn't take you long. They hear the of the floor and they know that it's time. So yeah, harness training has been a godsend for us. Both the cats are harness trained. Echo doesn't need a harness anymore, mostly because he's scared of heights, which he will only jump lengthways across. He will never jump up something. Even the countertop here in the kitchen, he will jump onto the puff, onto this little bit here, and then across this. I don't know if you can see that. He will jump. Can you see? Yeah, so he will jump from here to here rather than jumping up like a normal cat. So that's something. Rory, are you coming outside or not? With harness training, if it's a kitten as well, definitely start young, and you're just going to want to just literally put it on them, and they're going to just be like and drop to the floor and be really confused, maybe kick off a little bit, but just persevere and just let them potter around in it. Take them outside and they soon get used to it, and they associate this harness with going outside, which is always a very exciting, fun thing. I'm just going to go get Rory. So I always made sure when they were tiny that I would give them treats. Where are you going? You're like spaghetti today. What are you doing to me? Yeah, give them treats while they're wearing it and give them treats when they come inside, then they're associating obviously being home with getting treats, and every time they come in, especially if they come in of their own accord, they get a treat because that's just amazing. And then we just got this massive piece of rope with carabiners on each end, and that's what we do. I would never leave them completely unattended outside. Even now, 3 years in, I just don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Echo I trust, but I don't trust Rory. And even simple things like I trust Echo in the garden on, you know, just chilling. But if like Amazon came and they left this gate open in the side, then that changes everything. You know, Echo would go for an explore, and they're so docile, I would hate for them to get run over. So some people think it's bizarre that I've harness trained them, but it's for their own good, and it means that they get to go outside, and we're not having to spend a fortune trying to cat proof the garden. So let's let them out. It's funny too, we've got a frog, and Echo spends 90% of his time out here just waiting for the frog. It lives in here, and he will not leave it alone. He's been so annoying this last month, wanting to come out all the time, and he just sits here waiting, just like this, waiting for his froggy friend. Rory's very up and down about whether he wants to be outside or not. He's not too bothered, but he loves the buddleia. There's loads of butterflies that he just likes to sit and watch and torment as well. Let's see, there is a lot of butterflies on here today. Hi. I often come inside and just potter about in the kitchen when they're out there, especially if I've got stuff to do. And oh, look at the butterflies, that's so nice. And then yeah, Echo will just potter around and come back inside every now and then to check I'm still here. And Rory, you can kind of see my reflections like shadowing me here. He'll do this, and he'll either go right to the end of the garden, to the very end of his lead, or he will be done in about 5 minutes, and he will come and he'll just sit and he'll go meow, and I go okay, let's come back in then. So yeah, that's pretty much their current routine. I just wish Rory would just be happy outside. Like Echo would just stay out there forever, but Rory not so much. I think they've found a bug. This is what happens, Echo finds it and then Rory will absolutely devour whatever they've got, but Echo's not really that bothered about eating things. I think it's a cricket. Ooh, leave him alone. Rory lasted all of about 10 minutes out there today. He sometimes likes to come in and out, but he's got really nervous of noises lately, and I don't know why. Especially noises outside. He would love and thrive if he had a fully cat-proof garden. I don't think he'd like a catio as such, because I think he would hate that he couldn't get to where he wanted to go. But yeah, I think he would love a fully cat-proof garden, so hopefully one day we can do that for him. But for now, this is what he's got, so we don't trust him as far as we can throw him. He is so inquisitive and he loves to climb, so obviously that's why he's still on his harness. We find when he's in his harness, it's like he's something in his brain's like, oh, I better not explore too hard. And so yeah, we we definitely keep a close eye on Rory compared to Echo. Echo is just much more happy to just chill and watch his little frog. And he's never tried to climb anything in his entire life, so yeah, he had a bit of a scare when he was younger, and I think it's just made him really scared of heights, so not so bad. Oh, are you ignoring me now? I don't understand this cat, man. Sometimes he wants to know me so much, other times he's like pretending I don't exist. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Oh goodness me. Oh goodness me. Ooh. Let me right in there, eh? Are you coming in? Are you coming? No? Echo, are you coming home? Come on then. Home time. Come on. Let's go in. 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 Quick. Come on, quick. Let's go. Come on. Home time. Good boy. Good job. Are we going in? Good job, bud. And you. Another job. So these are the treats that we use. The Thrive 100% chicken treats, and they're really quite expensive, but we just give them a few a day. I don't go too extreme. There's been times in life where I've given them far too many treats and they've got a little bit plump. So we're a bit more cautious these days. They might get like a few in the day sometimes if I'm feeling really like, I don't know, giving, but usually it's just like one on a night time. So yeah, I'll show you their tricks because they've got very good. The main trick they've learnt lately though is the recall for coming back in. Rory's been done both times today before I've been ready to bring them in, but usually they'll be both in the garden. I'll say, right, home time, and Rory will come sprinting down the garden, bless him, and we're still working on it with Echo. Oftentimes he likes to play. Rory's trying to eat the tub, so let's go and I'll show you what they can do. Echo, wait. Good job. Up, let go. Good boy. Well done. You go round. High five. Thank you. Good job. Where's your brother? Here he is. Right, we're trying to teach patience to Echo. For a long time it was Rory who was impatient, but nowadays it's Echo. Come here, darling. Come here. Ah. No, Rory. Sit. Up. Up. Good boy. Paw. Thank you. What about a circle? Come on then. Good job. Well done. Good job, boys. Good job. Right, Echo, sit. Up. Good job. Good balancing. Can you come up? We're still working on up, aren't we? Yay! Good boy. That counts, right? Well done. Well done. Well done, boys. You'll get more at bedtime. Whoa. This is what I've used to train them both. It's a clicker. I'm not going to click it because they're used to hearing the click and then getting the treat. But basically every time they did a trick, I'd press the clicker and give them a treat, and that's how I taught them to like go round, come up and sit. So I highly recommend one of these. They're really cheap to buy, and yeah, I think it's what people who do shows with cats use. So really recommend, and there's loads of videos on YouTube to watch that show you how to use them, but that's how I train them to do like high fives and stuff. So I thought I would just quickly share the different brushes and things that we use for them over time. This is our favourite brush. We got it from Pets at Home a long time ago. The thing I love about it is it's got little bobbles on like a hairbrush, and Rory's demonstrating how lovely it is. And it's just really gentle and nice for their skin as well. Then this one's really great for, mostly for Echo's fur. His fur is so dense, and it's actually a dog grooming comb, but it does a really good job at catching flyaways, so I usually brush him with this and then brush him with this. well, comb him with this. And then we've got the Furminator, which I very rarely use, only if I feel like they're getting out of control, because it does actually cut the fur, and then you can just press this and it like helps to get the fur out of the comb. So yeah, I very rarely use this. If I do use this, I'll always go in with this after to catch any of the little hairs that have escaped. And then these are the nail clippers I use for them, or claw clippers, and they're really easy to do. And yeah, I just kind of keep on top of those. I don't trim them all the way off, just take the very ends off, just like we would with our own nails, you know, just take the very top off so it's not sharp, and then that way they don't end up curling under, because they're not obviously outdoor cats, they're not walking around all the time, and there's the chance that they could kind of curl under into their paw, which we don't want. Then these are brushes for the house. This one's actually great if you've got carpet. So on carpet like this, it just does such a good job. I mean, this is a wool rug, so it always picks up more, but it does a great job with the cat tree as well. This one is good. You have to wet it to get all the fluff off, and then you can just keep reusing it, and it's really, really great for things that are annoying to get hair off, like tights or certain materials like suede and things like that. And then this is the absolute best thing ever. This is what we use on everything, all our upholstery, and even like Dom's work shirts. It does a really good job at getting all the fluff off. So yeah, I'll try and leave links to everything down below, but hopefully you found that helpful. So I usually brush Rory down here, and Echo usually in bed. Rory likes to be on the move whilst he's being brushed, so it's a little bit more chaotic, whereas Echo loves to just chill out and enjoy. Dom's decided to do the brush tonight. I love that there's just random cat and baby toys everywhere. He loves to be brushed on his mat, doesn't he?
Yeah, every time.
He lives for it.
He always will be just to this mat.
And sometimes he just shouts and shouts and shouts, and all he wants to do is be brushed on his mat.
Or stroke, just do a good old belly rub. Look at the back arching up.
is the end of our evening. I go upstairs, I brush Echo. Sometimes Rory's upstairs with me, other times he stays downstairs with Dom, and if we all come upstairs they all come up to bed at the same time, and it's just lovely. Echo loves this time of day and I do too. It's such a relaxing end to the day. Then right at the end of the night when I'm going to bed, they both get a treat. We started this when I had my son and it was just a reward for them staying outside all night, and we've just carried it on. So the treats are kept in the bathroom and Echo knows. He could be fast asleep and he knows as soon as it's time they both come running, and it's adorable. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video and found it helpful. I'll leave playlists for my cat videos down below, but thank you so much for being here and for watching, and I hope you found it relaxing and you have a really lovely rest of your day.